Hello Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. I'm just letting thoughts flow in these latest few videos. No need for production and trying to find ways to get people to understand. You either want to seek some truth about our existence, or you're happy with your lot in the global construct that's been force-fed us since an early age. If you can imagine just growing up in a time or place where the biggest questions about our existence don't really appear to be answered by science, such as who we are, where we are, when we are, and why we're here. If you're comfortable with that, the answers that have been given, then yeah, things like Flat Earth or seeking any truth about those questions, the answers to those questions, the real answers to those questions, will be a frightening thing to think about. So, you know, Flat Earthers usually get to where they are by first challenging much of what they know, or have this understanding that we've been conditioned to believe things are a certain way, and our lives are dictated by this, you know, an objective reality created by humans is supposed to become each individual subjective reality. So instead of having our own individual reality, or being allowed to, we are conditioned to believe that in this objective reality that is started and perpetuated in an education system and by the mass media, by a system. Even the education systems are governed by commerce and trade. A friend of mine once said to me, and this got me really thinking, that school it just trains your mind to become part of the, you know, workforce. And yes, this is really what it is, isn't it? The 9 to 5, or, you know, the daily schedule sure, education is something that happens anywhere, at any time, for people. The young generation learn from the older generation. And yes, you know, we can look at the wealth of information we have gathered collectively as individuals and put together, and understand something about our history, about those big questions. Where are we and when are we? So from an early age we are told where we are on this ball in space, and that we as a species have been around for a certain amount of time, and we have evolved to a particular point, the now, the present, and there is something to aim for that goes beyond our current understanding of the universe and where we are. So we're told from, you know, we've been given the globe in school, told that's where you are. We're given our history lessons and told that's when you are. And this preempts any questioning a young mind might do about those fundamental questions that come to mind maybe at around 7, 8 years old. Who am I? what am I doing here? What's it all about? What is this thing? What are the adults doing? What are the plants doing? What are the animals doing? What are those crazy people doing running around? Yeah, so the education system, the entertainment, the mass media, the propaganda, the whole entire culture, the Western culture of adhering to this 24-hour heliocentric calendar and time construct is colonizing the world. This is what's been attempted throughout the ages to make the whole world conform to a standard. Just the same as weights and measures have been standardized from pounds and ounces and other kinds of weights into a weight that is easily divisible, a kilogram, 1,000 grams, based on 10, yeah? So we get the metric system. Sure, it helps. It's a way of counting things, and for example, it's easier to ship a kilogram of coffee or whatever to another place and agree on the weight all over the world that we know so far. Fine. And that, of course, is based on the weight of water in a certain volume. A kilogram of water takes up 1 litre, so it's all nicely calculated in a metric system. So that becomes a tangible reality. We can see something and pick up something that has a weight that we can define. Yeah, but of course a pound of sugar is less than a kilogram of sugar, but a pound of sugar might be all you need. Nevertheless, the categorizing of weights and measures into liters, milliliters, kilograms, grams makes them easily calculatable and can they have a use and a purpose, but it doesn't make it really relevant to our reality, really. Like I say, you could only need a pound of sugar, or you might need more than a pound of sugar, or just a pinch, whatever. The kilogram is just a way of conducting trade with amounts of produce. And then, of course, labour becomes time. Time literally is money. Time is money. It's deeper than the flippant phrase that we use. Time is money. Your time, our individual time becomes standardized in the form of money and time. Yeah. So our life as an individual is dedicated to an artificial construct that again is a bastardization or a mutation of Earth time, and using just one of the many elements that make up Earth time: the sun, the moon, the stars, yeah, night and day, seasons, etc. Yeah. So again, the solar heliocentric calendar dictates this geometric time-telling, a standardization, just like the coins as well. This is what we're all told about Newton. It's interesting, isn't it? Was he a real character even? Newton. This introduction of standardization of money, of time, and therefore of our physical and mental reality. we become boxed in, literally trapped in this artificial matrix. So we often think of a matrix as being kind of squares or cubes, but this is a global matrix, a spherical matrix with a mixture of linear elements, which is exactly what geometry can do. You can divide it up into triangles and what have you. Yeah. But a number is just a human construct. Yeah. How many nuts is enough for your lunch? How many people is enough on a bus? How many people is enough on this world? Yeah. Dividing it, you cannot, this is it, it's all about flow, the yin yang, it's all flow. This is why this division of everything into segments, again, that fit geometry, allowing mathematics to rule our lives in a standardized form instead of us ruling our own lives, is the big problem that we face in this artificial construct we're forced to live and believe is our physical existence as well. Yeah? So if you woke up, or you just materialized in a place, and you had no idea about your past, where you'd come from, you were suddenly looking around. You don't know who you are, where you are, or even when you are. And a panic would set in. So, of course, from an early age, we're stabilized and conditioned to the idea that our lives are this particular timeline of evolution. This is where you are in the universe on this spinning ball Earth, and that allows us to tell you the time of when you are in the evolution of the planet, the species, and the universe as a whole. Yeah. So it's a comfort zone, and it feels familiar because it's introduced when we're so young. And of course, naturally, we rebel against it all the time in many, many forms. Whether we're just a naughty kid at school, or we can't concentrate on certain things, or we really enjoy subjects and hate others, that's just individual preference, and that's really what life's all about, because it takes all sorts to make it all work. Just like you need the bees and the flowers and other things all working in sync and symbiotic relationships as individuals to make the whole thing work. And that's what we are. We are individuals that make up the whole. But our individualism is curtailed and boxed in, or globed in, by this artificial mindset, which has been put across as a physical reality too. Yeah. So this is the thing. This is why when we talk about, people say once you go flat, you never go back, because it's not necessarily about an understanding of the actual geometric shape of the Earth, the boundaries, if there are any. It's more about the understanding that the heliocentric model is just an artificial illustration of time to give us some form of establishment in the idea of who we are, why we're here, just evolved, etc., etc. But of course, maybe the why we're here is something totally different. To have that individual experience as part of the whole. Yeah. As I said before, time is an essential part of this physical existence. So if our our soul, our energy, or whatever goes to another dimension. Maybe that is a timeless place, the source, consciousness. Yeah. So to materialize in this physical place or plane, we need time. It has to be there. How it is created is the big mystery, but then that's all we can do, is look up at the sky and know that time is passing, or we are living in an existence that requires time for it to be anything at all. And that doesn't mean that beyond time there is nothing. There is always something. And so when we detach from the global time construct and return to Earth time, then we return to the source more. We get a better understanding of the purpose of being an individual, and that's that. No one can hope to answer the question of when we are, but this is what we're conditioned to think, that we are at a particular point, from the point of creation, when really that is just something to comfort us. So what if back in the 30s, 40s, maybe before, who knows, in the modern times that we know of, what if it was discovered that there is a limit, a boundary to this planet, this physical place? What if it was discovered that that's the case? If we knew that as a species, as a people, then maybe we would have evolved in the spiritual way that is maybe what the aim of the game is. Yeah? What if coming here, existing here, is a game that we must play to first work out the rules and evolve spiritually rather than physically. It's, you know, the levels in a game get more and more, maybe more and more complex, but they also get easier because the more you play, the higher up you get, the more experience you have in how the game works, the rules of the game, what you can and can't do, or that will help you advance or make you go back down to start again at another level. So what if the whole point or purpose of this being here in this existence is to develop on those spiritual levels, and so you take on this physical existence and have your experiences and attempt to learn from them. So if we are focused on getting somewhere else other than the here and now, where we currently exist with our mind, spirit attached to the body in the here and now, if we are distracted from that and we are looking to reach other planets or go to outer space or even to the edge of the Earth, then we are being distracted from where we can really find the truth, and that is inside. That is when we are free from thinking thoughts that have been conditioned into us, which are always part of any culture. Any culture has a certain level of conditioning that goes into its younger generations. So again, this is not to point out the rights and wrongs of any particular culture, but to understand that our culture makes up our mindset and makes our thoughts what they are, and so do all the other experiences, but is the point of actually being here to try our best to learn from those experiences. And then if we realize, if we know that there is a physical boundary, if we know that we are in fact imprisoned in this place, which can be heaven or can be hell for the individual, depending on their circumstances and many other factors that you can't nail down to one, or even make up something to solve the world's problems, because it always does come down to the individual and how much influence an individual might have over many people, but also the other way around, how much influence many people might have on the individual. Either way, we're living in this place and in a system that is like a playground, like a game, in which we have to learn the rules. And so if we are being prevented from learning or understanding the true nature of the game by the people in charge, by the global trade and elite, by those who wish to rule over us and have us not being individuals but being part of the big machine, that's enslavement. That's not allowing the individual to prosper. So this is the thing, isn't it? We are, when you really think about it, if you are prepared to think about it, our minds are shaped from an early age, and so is the world that we are led to believe we live in. Food for thought, I hope. Thank you very much.